7, Season 1 of Grow and Tell, presented by Respect My Region. I'm here today with the Director of Cultivation, Chad from Maven Genetics, and we're going to be talking about exotics, breeding, cultivation, all the fun stuff. So, Chad, thank you for coming on. How are you today? How's it going?
It's going good. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Love your program. Love what you guys are about. So I get excited every time I get on one of these.
Yeah. The North American Weed Tour is going very well. Last week we talked to Rob, not Rab. Everybody calls him Rab, but we talked to Rob from Seattle Chronic Seed. So I'm excited to have another, geneticist on here. Another breeder.
I don't know if I'd consider myself a geneticist. So.
No. Oh, well, give us a little introduction.
Cross between a pollen chucker and with some, I guess, a little bit of what we're trying to achieve. As far as I haven't been doing it as long as a lot of people. So we're trying to learn from the best out there and trying to do it too. So.
Yeah. Well, give us a little bit of your background or your origin story so that we can all get up to speed.
Okay. Well, cannabis was kind of a career choice after I kind of didn't become a lawyer. I was going to school to actually become a lawyer, and started, grew up with two brothers that always smoked weed, and, a Hesher and another brother that was in the punk rock. And, they were both weed smokers, and, dabbled in it a little bit, and eventually went to college like, hey, I really want to practice law in the cannabis space. And this was 1999, 2001. Started actually growing cannabis in like 97. Even before I graduated in 97. Before I graduated, we just popped, we used to get this brickweed back in the day, and always had seeds. So popped a few of those in my backyard. Told my mom it was iguana food. Obviously, we knew what it was. The first thing was, growing it outside. You're like, okay, let's just put some whatever dirt, soil, water it, and leave it alone. Got our first dose of reality that it was a little more than that when we started to get those little bud worms. Right? I'm like, okay, how do I kill these bud worms?
Yeah.
First IPM dabbled into, find Bacillus thuringiensis, the BT sprayed on there, killed the budworms, So
nice.
Kind of learned early on that when we were growing this plant, we had to take care of it, give it what it needs, and also notice, any kind of pests on it. So from there, I like to tinker with things. I take things apart. I like to was part of a lot of the forums as, just in the dark, because I never wanted anybody to know who I was, because it was those times.
Yeah.
Really didn't take pictures of my grow or anything like that, but was part of the forums, Roll It Up. There's a few others. When Advanced Nutrients first came out with theirs, was part of that, under different names, obviously, but learned a lot from those guys. There's a lot of smart people on there, and I think a lot of them became bigger in the industry. Started really used my college knowledge that I was only thing I really learned from political science or whatever was the way to research.
Mm-hmm.
So really took a lot from Big Ag, and have just been pushing on the science part for a long time. I borrow a lot from other industries. I share a lot of information with fellow cultivators. I talk to a fellow agronomist like yourself and horticulturists just to try to figure things out, and together, we've made strides, and that's kind of, not doing the lawyer thing anymore, just professionally being in cannabis. Not in the gray market anymore, just really trying to make a career out of it and make a name for myself and for the company I work for. And I don't want to go on too long, but I treat what I do in these facilities as the analogy I like to give is I like to cook too, but I like to make this plant as good as I can to give it to people, and I want to see them enjoy it.
Right.
And that's where the passion comes from. I truly do enjoy growing good herb and looking and seeing other people enjoy it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm based out of Washington State, so I personally haven't tried anything that Maven grows, but I've heard really good things. I've heard you have an excellent terpene profile in your strains, and from what I can tell from your website, like all of the strains that are highlighted on the website look exceptional. So I think you're doing a great job. I mean, you don't need to toot your horn too much, but it looks like
yeah, and I would say that as a part of the, our CEO and our COO, they're all old school heads. Mike Corvington, he he is our connoisseur. He picks a lot of those strains out. What I like is not necessarily what the public likes a lot of times.
yeah.
So he has his finger on the pulse of what the consumer is liking.
Hmm.
So I got to give most of that credit to him. We're just here trying to grow it as good as we can.
Yeah. So does he have most of the say then in the pheno hunts, or are you
We
able to?
all, yeah, we all have a say.
Okay.
At the end of the day, we do all have a say, and then it goes out to a lot of the employees, and we do a lot of R&D and what they like. And that's why I say, like, a lot of times I actually will differ from what I like than what everybody else likes.
Yeah.
My palate is a little bit different than
Yeah.
what everybody enjoys. But it is all a group effort.
Mhm.
Everything's a group effort. Mike's is in more in line, I think, with the consumer a lot
Mhm.
of the time. So mine
Yeah.
might be a little off
Well,
the wall.
it's not always easy to know, even when I'm running my dispensary, when new strains come in, I think I have an idea that my customers are going to love something, and it could be the last thing to sell. It's
Yes,
not
yeah.
always super apparent. So, and trends are always changing, but specifically this month, RMR, we're highlighting exotics. So I love to ask cultivators and breeders, especially, what is your definition of an exotic strain?
It's funny because I think Mitch asked me this a while ago on a podcast, and
Yeah.
to me, something exotic is something different than I'm used to, or my group of people are used to,
Yeah.
and it might not be the same thing that is exotic for you.
Right.
It's just something I'm not used to, something that we haven't come across, and it seems now exotics are becoming more of that purple kind of like, all right, I'm used to this again. So I think that if my
Yeah.
definition is what I believe, it should probably change into something else now.
Yeah. I
Because
think right now we're pushing for candy gas, is what I've
yeah,
heard.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, that
And
is
then next,
heavily pushed, which is a
yes.
great thing. A lot of people love it.
Mhm.
I'm not so much into the candy gas as much,
Yeah.
but I'm
Yeah,
one
I'm
person.
I'm
So,
more of a sativa smoker, and what I've noticed is that exotics are very rarely sativa.
right.
Like there's a lot of really great genetics out there, but they seem to lean indica experience. And so I don't necessarily even smoke them. I'm more out hunting for like true accurate representations of the older strains like
I like that.
Acapulco and Durban and stuff like that. Yeah. That's
I,
more of where my passion lies, but I also have a bit of an older consumer base at my dispensary, so they also like that. That's why we get along so well.
Hey, us old heads. I'm 43, so us old heads, like I mean, I probably am offending some people that are older than me, but I yeah, I don't feel myself as old, so I
Yeah,
don't know,
no,
but
I
I
don't
guess I
either.
am at this point.
Hmm.
Um, I do like the older stuff too. A lot of
Yeah,
that stuff I'll try to push forward, but when it goes through R&D, sometimes it just doesn't hit all the buttons.
yeah,
And,
yeah. What are some of the most important things that you look for when you are selecting for a new pheno?
are you asking me personally or as a company?
Either,
Okay.
whatever
So,
one. Yeah,
so personally, me, nose is the first thing. So if
yeah.
I smell it and it smells interesting, the looks of it really don't matter to me as much.
Hmm.
Obviously, I love a great structure and frost, and all that is very
Yeah,
appealing. Like we eat with our eyes, right?
yeah,
But if it doesn't smell good, then I'm just don't even,
yeah.
it I'll still smoke it. Don't get me wrong, but
Sure.
because sometimes something won't smell good, and then you smoke it, and then it tastes totally different, right?
Yep.
So,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
but nose is the very first thing that hits me, and then obviously looks and structure, and
Hmm.
then once I smoke it, that initial draw, I like to taste the flavor off that,
Hmm.
uh, and the exhale. You know, the
Yeah.
exhale always has a different flavor than the draw. For me, usually has a different flavor.
Yeah.
And then I really enjoy smelling it in the air.
Okay.
A lot of the old school Bubba strains, you get that floral smell in the air, and you smell it
Wow.
when you're walking by,
Yes.
and that always draws me in. So
Yeah.
those are the first initial impressions, and obviously how it makes you feel afterwards
Yeah.
is probably the main one if I'm looking to stay active or think or just get couch locked and watch a movie
Right.
and fall asleep. So.
Right. Yeah, for a deli style or pseudo deli style state like California, I'm sure terpenes play much more of a role. Up here in Washington, since we're all branded and prepackaged, you have to use other methods to convey the terpene profile to customers. So it's one of those things that bottle appeal gets way heavier weight when you come down to a pheno hunt up here in Washington because nobody can smell anything until they've already purchased it.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
it's
I
a
think
weird.
that's the same thing up here too, as well, because it is. They don't get to actually smell it.
They
It's
don't get to
always
actually smell it.
no.
Who's been showing me weed in these California dispensaries that I'm smelling it?
So I don't know. Like a lot of it is maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm incorrect on this, but
Yeah.
a lot of it is in the jar. I know at first we had those display cases with the
Yeah.
magnifying glasses. Maybe they had nose on them. I really
I
don't
mean,
go
I
into
had people open jars for me, so maybe I
Maybe
was
you're
just.
correct. I'm probably wrong. Honestly, I don't go into the
You
dispensary
haven't bought
often.
weed in a dispensary in years, I'm sure. Yeah.
I haven't, dude. My weed collection is not even trimmed.
Oh my
It's
God.
it's got
Uh,
leaves on it. I trim the
yeah.
leaves off myself. I really don't
Nice.
care about that. So
Yeah.
if it was up to me, we'd sell untrimmed flower to everybody.
Whoa. Whoa,
Not
dude.
like not
That's
full families.
crazy.
Just like you trim it when you get it. I think it protects it more.
Yeah. I mean, the
So
flavor's a little bit more protected for sure.
the less hand touching,
Yeah.
like I'll trim it myself. I've always been like that, so I'm a
Yeah.
little disconnected from what the consumers are seeing in the
Well,
jar.
okay. I won't ask you about consumers anymore. Then. How about that? One thing I did want to ask you about, though, I noticed on the Instagram that y'all just released the fall lineup or announced that the fall lineup is maybe ready. I didn't see any strain specifically announced. Can you let us in on what's going on, or is there any insider information you can share with us?
I will say they went through a lot of rigorous testing R and
Yeah.
D in our R&D rooms, in our bloom rooms as well. If they perform well in our bloom rooms,
Mm-hmm.
several different runs of them to see if they check all the boxes, and then also tasting with
Okay.
everybody.
Okay.
So we're very excited about them.
Yeah.
They are checking all the boxes in everybody's opinion of what the consumer is going to like at this point. I hope we're
Nice.
right. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of excitement about them, and
Mm-hmm.
it is a direction that we're moving hard on to bring a lot of new product to the market all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah, you did a 5 strain release for the spring, right? And those looked amazing. I mean, again, I'm up in Washington, but the pictures were beautiful, and it seems like people really enjoyed them. So it's pretty cool that it seems like you're doing a spring and a fall release cycle. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So that is more on Mike's side and Miguel's side. They find, if we come out with these kind of drops at a time, that it creates the hype and people kind of get to see where our direction's going. And
Mm-hmm.
it's also a way, we have also an R&D out. It's also a way to find kind of what direction the company is going to go in the next following months.
Yeah.
It is a hard thing. People get bored really quick, and I don't blame
Yeah.
them. There's a lot of
Yeah.
companies out there that are producing really good flour. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a way for us to try to create our own kind of hype and show the customers that we're always looking for the next best thing.
Yeah. Awesome. So in your bloom rooms, do you grow under HPS? Do you grow under LED? Like, what's the lighting spectrum like?
So it has been HPS forever.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we've always grown under, from single to double ended.
Mm-hmm.
We are R&Ding LED and have had really good results. Um,
Whoa.
I'm looking to change to a more sustainable method.
Mm-hmm.
We find LED is more. I mean, on the HIDs, we have to change the bulbs out and hoods out every 6 months.
Yeah.
They give a lot of heat off,
Yeah.
which causes a lot of power, and
Yeah.
being sustainable indoors, oxymoron. I guess you can't do it, right?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't like us indoor growers. My preference is indoor, but I that's probably going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. But I
Yeah.
try to do it as sustainable as possible.
Mhm.
LED is one of those pieces of the puzzles. We have found higher terpene levels off of some of the LED flower.
And a more diverse terpene level. I mean, I'm sorry,
More
but
diverse
alcohol
terpene
kind of,
level.
yeah,
Yes, deeper
yeah,
colors.
yeah.
Um, Finishing times have changed a bit,
Hmm.
but there's some drawbacks to it as well.
Yeah,
Definitely have to keep the humidity and temperatures up a little more, and
yeah,
then you have different pest pressures, different environments to deal with it.
yeah.
But all in all, that's the move. I'm looking to start switching over some bloom rooms at least,
Hmm.
and figuring out, hey, is this strain actually thrive more under LED? Does it thrive more under HID?
Yeah.
I'm
That's
not
what
quite
I
sure.
personally noticed is that,
Yeah,
you could be running a strain that it was a big yielder for you for a really long time, but if you move it under LEDs, it just won't function the same way at all. It won't produce the same way at all.
right.
And
Yeah,
then, with that in mind, like when you're doing your pheno hunts, you have to determine ahead of times whether or not you're going to cultivate this strain in an LED room or if you're going to cultivate it under a different lighting spectrum,
yeah,
because, you know, A, very few people breed under LED lights, and B, very few people like actually do their pheno hunts under LED lights. But if that's
right.
what you're going to bloom or flower in, then you have to do it
It
under
should be.
LEDs.
Yeah. We use both for testing. We will
Yeah.
run them both, and that's kind of where we're figuring things out.
Hmm.
'Cause I'm not completely sold on switching over, but
Hmm.
if we can figure out the whys that it does
Hmm.
it under LED versus HID,
Hmm.
we do take all kinds of variables like leaf tissue temperatures and stuff like that, because we know there is a lot more heat coming from the HID. So it's our initial kind of
Yeah.
grasping of what is the change here. Is it
Yeah.
just purely spectrum? Is there something? Is there another influence there? Um,
Yeah.
so it is one of those things. And
Sure.
there's so many variables, as you probably know. There's so
Oh,
many variables.
absolutely. I mean, there are the LEDs that are built for efficiency, like the Philips supplemental lighting kind of situation, and then there are LEDs that are specifically designed to mimic the photo, like the light spectrum we're used to, right? So
Right.
you even have to decide what direction you want to take the actual LED fixture
Yeah.
beyond just deciding you're down to use LEDs. Yeah, it's
I
a
will.
it's a weird thing.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I will tell you though, I was completely against them when they first started hitting the market.
Yeah, well, they sucked.
That's exactly it. When I first came into Kush Alley, because I do both Maven Genetics and Kush Alley. When I first came into Kush Alley, we were
Hmm.
using these LEDs for veg, and they were just, you couldn't tone them up. Any spectrum change, you could only use the blue light on them, no red light.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was completely terrible and
yeah,
really, really bad experience. And we switched back to like CMHs and something that
oh,
actually
yeah.
worked. And now I'm all on. Majority of my veg is actually now getting done in LEDs, because we
Yeah,
actually really, really enjoy the structure and the growth in veg. I'm convinced in veg right now,
right.
LEDs is better for us. For me, I
Yeah.
like the growth a lot better.
I've always grown in tiers in veg, so then you're like forced into an
Yeah,
LED, and
yeah,
I've always liked
yeah,
it better anyway. It's like, yeah, I don't know. There, yeah. But then if you look at my Instagram, my medical still has those old Illumatex NeoSol sheet LEDs. Like that's
yeah. If it
I have
works,
some new Philips in there too. I have like the craziest lights going on right now. It's absolutely insane. But it all works out. Like
yeah.
it's
I
fine.
mean, I get thrown testers all the time.
Yeah.
I like to try new LED fixtures all the
Yeah,
time, and I'm always open for it. So
the Illumatex ones that mimic the Gavita spectrum, they're pretty wild, but there's
yeah,
no airflow.
yeah,
Like it is an actual blanket essentially. So you can't that your air envelope's all fucked up.
so
Anyway,
yeah, and that's a
we don't have
huge
to
thing
keep
too.
talking about
Yeah,
lights.
don't go on a tangent, right? Yeah.
But yeah. And you grow I think from what I saw on pictures, it looks like y'all are growing in rock wool. Is that right too?
Yes. So right now we do. That's what we grow in.
Hmm.
We have grown in everything.
Yeah.
If it calls for it. Um, we've grown in cocoa. I've
Hmm.
done NFT style.
Hmm.
We've done hydrogen pebbles back in the day on flood and drain.
Weird. Cool.
We have
Yeah.
literally um, grown in a lot of different medias and
Yeah.
find pros and cons of each.
Hmm.
I do like Rockwell. I do like cocoa. I think they have their benefits on what you choose and when you choose it.
Hmm.
But right now, yes, it's primarily Rockwell.
Cool. Yeah. At one point, I grew in that ceramic composite material that they put on uh, baseball diamonds.
Really?
Yeah.
What was that one called?
I don't even remember what it was called, but
But it
it
was like
literally was made for baseball diamonds. Like
was it
I
like
just
a
bought
stone or
bags.
something? It was a round pellet or
No, it was like ceramic chunks. It was like a
ceramic
crushed
chunks?
up,
I
yeah,
think
crushed up
well,
like
it's not
quartz rock.
perlite, obviously, but it's
Yeah.
something. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. 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 It
Yeah,
was interesting.
I've tried it all. I've never done aeroponics or like in a
Yeah.
chamber,
Yeah.
but I've read the studies on it. Seems awesome.
Yeah.
So just never
It's got
attempted.
very little room for error. I
There
feel
you
like
go.
as you
Yep.
get more and more away from what the plant evolved in, then you
Yep.
have smaller and smaller margins
Yep.
for error. Yeah.
I would 100% agree with you, and that's the different media kind of when we first started growing at some of these facilities, cocoa was a little easier for us to run.
Hmm.
So if you have a lot of inexperienced people, I can put cocoa in a facility and run it a little. For me, it was easier to run. I don't know.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I'm
As
not
a supervisor, it
discounting
was
it.
easier.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was something that I could really incorporate super fast. And then Rockwell
Yeah.
took like it was a bigger learning curve for a lot of people. So
Yeah. 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 Certainly. Yeah. Yeah. And y'all have a pretty large team. It seemed like 25 people on LinkedIn. Like that's really
that's
big.
not, yeah, that's not even the tip of the iceberg because honestly,
Yeah.
everybody I talk to in our cultivation, I really push hard for them to develop their professional career because
Yeah.
we do have to, and I want them to know their worth, not
Yeah.
just with our company, but with other companies. I take pride in that. That is not even the tip of the iceberg. Those are just the people that actually are really taking it serious and
That's
knowing this is going to be a career.
Yeah, that's amazing because that's part of destigmatization is like actually treating this like a job, like a career. A lot of people seem to think that we're in it for a little while and then we're going to get back out of it, but
No,
no,
no. This
it's not
is
the
this is the path I chose. I've
case.
invested a
Yep.
lot of my time and energy, and
Yep. Yeah.
like I don't want to. I mean, I was a special education assistant before. Not like I wouldn't want to go back to doing that, but I
Sure.
really enjoy growing cannabis and dealing with a lot of people that love cannabis. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Oh my goodness. Well, is there anything coming up that we should keep our eyes peeled for other than, the fall release? Is there anything in the books or are you speaking at any events or anything like that coming up?
Um, I've been working with some of the big distributors for equipment out there. I am doing like a Canna Cribs thing with Hawthorne soon. I know, like, they don't get a good rap from a lot of people. There's a lot of rumors out there. They're Monsanto. That stuff's not true. Honestly, a lot of their products that I've been using, yeah, I just got to put
I
it
mean,
out there.
I don't know why people are still upset about anyway, continue. I'm just
I,
about burn no bridges. That's my mentality.
I,
Like,
I, I don't, and they've shown me a lot of love, and I show it back
yeah,
to them. And they have a lot
yeah.
of products we've used for a long time. The
Hmm.
Botanicare, the General Hydro, the Gavitas. Like these are all things that
Yeah.
we've used for a very long time. So
Yeah.
they've been instrumental in my growth as far as one of their agronomists is just, he's just awesome. Taught me a lot. And
Cool.
so that is coming up soon. And we are testing a lot of their new products out, which I love to R&D. That's something that
Yeah.
really keeps me happy is trying the latest and greatest from a company and see if it performs for us because
Right.
it gives us a competitive edge,
Hmm.
and you need
Hmm.
everything you can get. There's so many phenomenal growers out there
Yeah.
that
Very
you
true.
need whatever you can get to produce
Hmm.
better flower. But yeah, that's something. I know the breeding program and the new strain release. That's something we have a lot of seeds to pop and a lot of actual strains to go through to see which one's going to hit the market. So
Mm-hmm.
that has been a big push everywhere. We're looking to branch into the outdoor market. I know a lot of farmers are dropping out at this point,
Yeah.
and it's really sad. And luckily, thank God that we focused heavily on our branding. So we hopefully have a place for that for our
Mm-hmm.
outdoor flower.
Yeah.
We've been pushing hard on that because we do want to hit all markets. I know a lot of people enjoy sun grown over indoor, and we want to be able to give that to the consumer base too.
Mm-hmm.
There has been a lot of work on all different product lines and all different sectors of the market to try to just be vertically integrated and do our thing.
Yeah, you guys can vertically integrate. I saw you have an actual storefront in Tarzana, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Very
Yes.
cool. And that's that. But you never go there. I'm not supposed to ask you about that.
I have gone there. I have gone there a couple of times.
Okay.
I have. I've seen it. I've just disconnected a little bit from the dispensary, and I apologize, but
I'm just busting your balls. No, it's fine. It's not.
I go in the cure room. My cure room's my dispensary. That's the perk of, it's like being a chef. You get to taste the food first.
Yeah,
I
for sure. I
cook my
wish I
first.
could cook. I wish that I didn't smoke
One of
so
our
much
things
weed.
is, in cultivation, a lot of times you're growing hundreds and thousands of pounds of cannabis,
Yeah.
and I used to grow for like a gray market, and what
Yeah.
I would do, and maybe this I don't probably shouldn't say, but what I would do in my garden is I would look through the garden and go like, I want that bud, I want that bud, I want that bud, and literally would save it for myself. So that is one of those.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow. See, I can't do that. I have to wait until I've like trimmed all of it, and then I like shake the bag to see what bounces to the top. That's the one.
but you still
That's
get
the
to
one I
pick,
smoke.
right? You still pick it. So
Yeah, that's true, I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
so
And
I
then
mean,
I smoke more and more and more and more, and then I'm just
I'm ahead like that, and we like to give that back to our employees as well. So that is something that's fun for them, that they get to pick a couple hangers
Yeah.
in every bloom run,
Are
and
you
those
drying
hangers.
on hangers?
Yes, it's all hang dried on hangers. Yeah,
Oh my God.
I know.
Wow. Okay.
Every single plant is hang. I know. Well, look, we talked about other ways to dry it, like full plant.
Yeah.
I used to do that in my home grows, or in my gray market grows, was
Yeah.
full plant always.
Yeah.
So it is something
I was
we've
gonna
always
say,
done.
like, not to plug my consulting company, but I can save you a lot of labor if
Well,
you
let's talk about it, because that's what it's all about, right? We all
Yeah.
have to shave a little off the top, but every single flower of ours is cut and hung on a hanger and dried in a cure room. Yeah,
Wow. Well,
so
I mean, that's why it looks so lovely in the jars, and in pictures
I
and things like
appreciate
that.
that.
So
Yeah.
it makes sense. We used to dry in like mesh shoe racks. Like you'd cut all the nugs off and throw them into these big mesh shoe
Yeah, the
racks.
hanging ones.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
I know
Yeah.
that the like, the industry knocked one off and like put a weed label on it or whatever and sold it to us for like $500.
Totally. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah. But like all my nugs would be like flat on one side. Like,
So I use that same thing for the smaller nugs. That
Yeah.
was usually where my larf or whatever maybe drying for, if it was to go into joints or whatever it was,
Yeah.
that would be
Yeah.
usually.
That would work.
That's so funny.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Well, cool. Well, we are out of time. I know you're a busy man. You got shit to do. I got shit to do. So to everyone who's still watching, thank you for tuning in
Thank
with
you.
us.
Appreciate it.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yes, Chad, thanks for being on with us. This was episode 7 of season 1 of Grow and Tell. Please, do the things that my boss tells me to plug, which is like and subscribe and follow, and join me again next week. All of those good things. Chad, anything you want to say before we go?
I love you guys. I appreciate and welcome the opportunity to talk at any time.
Yeah.
I'm on LinkedIn and IG. If anybody's out there that wants to connect and talk about cannabis, I love talking about it. They always shoot me a message. I'm just like everybody else, and I partake in smoking as well. That's kind of
it's a good sign.
Yeah.
It's a good sign.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you all, and I will see everyone next week again.